황상빈!
Oh, they scored! It's Grant who's got the goal! From the free kick, and we're heading for extra time now, surely.
Domingo! It is 2-0, and that now surely seals the K-League title for Jeonbuk and Motors.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, 안녕하세요. Ryan Walters coming to you from another echoey location in Bangkok. I'm joined. It's a Monday morning, is what I'll say. It's a Monday morning. I'm joined by Matthew Binns. Matthew, how are you feeling today?
Oh, delightful. I'm feeling absolutely delightful. Yeah, no, I've had a medical this morning. My yearly med. Nothing's wrong. Yearly medical. I'm still very much jet lagged. Been up since 3. Obviously, because too excited for this match.
Yeah, of course.
So, I'm in good shape for this. Really good shape. So nothing but the best this Monday lunchtime. How about yourself?
I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm grand. I'm wonderful. I definitely didn't do too much this weekend. I don't tend to do too much when I'm in Bangkok. Definitely didn't fit in a jazz show, a couple of gin bars, and a football match in 3 days.
Oh, who did you go and see?
For which?
Yeah.
For which one?
Let's keep. It's a football podcast. Let's not go too far astray.
Muangthong versus Lampang, the newly promoted team here in Thailand, who have an amazing crest. On the crest, it's this dude riding a chariot, and he's like whipping the horse, and they're just going nuts. As a neutral, I was very entertained. It ended up 2-2. Lampang had a red card, but at one point had a 2-1 lead with the red card. They were executing this delicious counterattacking game plan because they're a newly promoted side. Nice little stadium as well. The Thunderdome. I love that name so much. It's the Thunderdome Stadium, which I was told by Gian, friends of the pod will know Gian, that name was around before Buriram called it the Thunder Castle. So that's, that's one for Muangthong, I guess. But yeah, I was entertained. I'm almost always entertained by Thai League matches. It's been fun going to those. So that was the football side of things, which is what we'll stick to.
Yeah, entertained by Thai League, and I'm sure, like people tuning in for Champions League, were very entertained by that old K-League clash as well last week.
Yes, what a game it was!
Oh yeah,
let's just hop into that one. We are here to talk about ACL. We're here to talk about K-League, not Thai League. Stop talking about Thai League, Matt. Jeez, get out of here with that. Let's talk about it because obviously, if folks were on the Twitters yesterday, both Shibaji and I were on the Baba Goal Spaces talking about the round of 16, talking about the games in general. But I definitely want to get your 2 cents, especially on the Korean Derby, as folks have been calling it. Welcome to midweek K-League in so many ways for that one. But what was your main takeaway from this one?
I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's like airing your dirty laundry, isn't it? Like we it's all right if we watch it. Like we like K-League. We love this. Don't show the continent this. Don't show them this. Oh, we'll put Jeonbuk, who have been god awful this year, against a managerless Daegu who have been held together with bandages and plasters. We'll put them up on the continental stage for everybody to watch. My God. I mean, actually, thank God I was flying. I missed it. I got on the plane. I was flying back from the UK for anybody who's wondering where I've been. Obviously, people have been missing me. All that fan mail. Stop, please. I'm all right. Scouting the Premier League for talent, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. See if any K2 clubs can pick them up. But for Jeonbuk, I was on the flight back, and so I missed it. Muyol was in charge of updates on that one. I have obviously caught up with it since and watched it back, but oh my word, it was dross, wasn't it? It was absolute dross. But the first half, yeah. The second half, it picked up a bit. Obviously, there was a couple of goals, some superb goalkeeping for both of them.
Yes.
I mean, come on. Like, Oh Sung-hun should have done better with Son Min-kyu's, and Lee Bum-soo returned the favour in net, deputising for Song Bum-kun. He let it go through his legs as well. So one nutmeg apiece for either side. I think Daegu had some better chances in the second half. Jeonbuk dominated possession as they always do. Not that it means much, It's pointless possession. It's I was thinking of that Barcelona documentary just before we came on, like that. Take the ball, pass the ball, and beautiful tiki tap.
Try it again. Try it again. Don't worry, we're not doing it live. Try it again.
Yeah, Google. I've got Google talking to me in the background there. I set them off with that. Sorry. Anyway,
the robots are coming for you.
The robots are coming for me. I'm having a breakdown. No. Anyway, yeah. So I was thinking of that, and just Jeonbuk is just take the ball, pass it back, pass it sideways, pass it out. Just like there's no point to it. It's awful. It's genuinely like pointless possession. I've been saying it all season, but they just hold. I think the final stats was 75% possession to Jeonbuk. You can't. I think they got 22 shots in, but really, I can't really. Until extra time, there was only a handful. There was barely any that stood out. They did pick things up in extra time because he decided to bring on a striker finally. I mean, he's got Son Min-kyu up front who has scored 3 in his last 3, so good on him. Picking up the slack. Gustavo has been a bit injured coming into this.
But I did want to talk to you about that. Son Min-kyu up top is a weird choice for me.
It's just making do because Barrow's been out with personal reasons, unfortunately, but he is back. He joined up with the squad late, so he was on the bench for the Daegu game. There's a good chance he might be starting tonight. Gustavo had been struggling with a minor injury or something in the last couple of games, so Son Min-kyu's been starting up top, and I guess he's got a goal in each game, so it's keep him up there for now. He doesn't do that bad in terms of the interplay between the wingers. I thought Han Kyu-won linked up quite nicely with him down the right wing, but you can't say he's not a finisher because he has scored a lot of goals for Pohang and he has scored goals for Jeonbuk, but he's not the finisher that Jeonbuk need at the top. They need they need Gustavo up there, and even he's not had the best of seasons, but you need Gustavo there. And they haven't got Ilyachenko anymore, obviously, who's definitely not doing a job at Seoul. And Cho Kyu-sung isn't going to be back until September, so there's no point discussing him for this. We've just got to kind of play him up top. That Gustavo could be reinstated this evening again. It's hard to tell with Kim Sang-sik. You never know really what he's thinking these days. But you might be tempted to keep Son Min-kyu up there. There are a couple of injuries which we're going to get to in a bit, so we'll talk a bit more about the lineup there. But it's the next best option after Gustavo. It doesn't mean I like it, but it's the next best option. I think he's far more effective out wide there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. And the other thing is that it also kind of forces Paek Sung-ho into a slightly weird position where in this one they were playing a 4-2-3-1. That's at least how it was put on paper. And that is kind of how they looked through most of it. And that was forcing Paek out a little bit wider. Obviously, Kim Bo-kyung can play in the middle of the pitch just fine. But the thing for me is that this is taking people out of their best positions and putting them in positions where they can play, which is fine, but I don't. You can get away with that against Daegu.
Yeah, his hands were forcible. Kim Bo-kyung was out he spent a reasonable amount of time out on the left. On the actual formation, he was put out on the left, but he did come in a bit. But because he had to fill in for Barrow, who wasn't there. Han Kyu-won, who's not really played that much this season, rumored to have wanted out in the summer. He's out on the right, so everybody's kind of filling in, trying to do jobs just because there are a few injuries there. But most of those injuries, they're only slight injuries. There's a good chance there'll be a fuller selection for this game this evening.
Yeah, so there have been some injuries. The lineup was a bit strange. I mean, I guess
we should mention
overall,
Jeonbuk won, obviously.
they did win.
Kim Jin-kyu in the final minute with a bit of a... Well, he was there at the right time. Gustavo couldn't really get to it. Ball fell. Good finish, but yeah.
I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before. Close match between Daegu and Jeonbuk, and then Jeonbuk edge it in stoppage time.
Well, not this season, but yeah.
It has happened before. And I think Daegu, I mean, I don't really think we need to touch on it too much. Muyol went into it before this match, and we've been talking about it a lot. When your manager leaves all of like days before you're going to be playing an ACL, their form in the league has been atrocious. I thought they did as well as they could in this one. But I mean, man, it was one of those ones where, and obviously folks picked up on this, at least it was the early game. It wasn't the night game for this one, but it was not a great look for K-League. Two out of form sides coming in that were both just like, I don't want to lose this game. And it was just, that first half was just rough. It was rough. And then luckily, I mean, I'll take a goalkeeper error to get the game going. And like you say, at least we did finally get something in the second half, and they started to play a little bit more, because had Song Min-kyu not scored when he did, that second half was going to go the same way. And we were looking at 0-0 with pens, and maybe half of the audience that was watching still being awake at that point in time. It wasn't a very good look. And I think it was just one of those ones that, like, two familiar sides going at each other and just looking not to lose, looking to make their way past this match. And I think we can make our way past this match as well, because I really wish there was a little bit more to talk about. But the main takeaway from this for me, and this has been on Twitter a little bit, where when Paul asked who I've been most disappointed with in ACL, I said Ulsan, just because they are a victim of their own success in a lot of ways. But Dan Croydon came on and said, what about Jeonbuk? Which is a very good point. And I think that's one more to address towards you, because Jeonbuk won this in 2016, but they really haven't done anything since. They are now into the quarterfinals here. But were you impressed with this performance? I mean, is this a team that's any good?
This performance, no. I wouldn't say. I can see where Dan's coming from. I think Ulsan have won it in the last few years, and they have had that long unbeaten run. I mean, it's quite easy to get an unbeaten run when you're versing Chinese children every other game, but they can't choose who they're up against, and it's been, they've delivered. Ulsan have. I still think. I mean, it's all right saying if Jeonbuk got through to the semi-finals against Pohang, they didn't beat Ulsan, so I mean, it's it doesn't matter. But I always think Jeonbuk kind of do deliver. We'll get onto our predictions a lot later on, but I think the J.League sides may actually play into Jeonbuk's favour. Jeonbuk do tend to deliver against J.League teams. They do tend to step up to the occasion. Yeah, I know they lost to Ulsan, and I know they haven't won it, so I mean, I don't really know what I'm saying. But for me, I thought Jeonbuk should have won it in 2018. I thought that was the best team we've seen from Jeonbuk. Obviously, lost to Suwon. Fair play. They won on penalty shootouts, but it was a heck of a two-leg clash. I think both teams underperformed, to be honest. Ulsan have won it though, so 2 years ago. So what can we really say? They're in the semi-finals last year as well. So.
Well, and I bring all that up. Just also to address things that are going on the interwebs. So thanks for watching and listening, folks. Keep the conversation going. But in this one, and I think it's telling, because AFC's best 11 per round, it's done by Opta rankings. And when you have a BG team that won 4-0 and a Urawa team that won 5-0, it's going to be pretty tough to break into that best 11 based on Opta scores. But even if it's not based on Opta scores, if we're looking at the best 11 from the round of 16, is there anybody from Jeonbuk that you would even put in there?
No. No, I just forget the match happened. Like it was not a good game. Like we don't need to keep we really don't need to keep going on about it. It was just a poor game. Jeonbuk came in with injuries. They've had all teams having relentless schedules. Daegu, they've got 1,000,001 problems. They don't really need to. To be honest, they couldn't have really done it. If they'd won, it would have been great. If they narrowly lost, I think they get out of a competition that will allow them to focus on league survival, but they get to leave with their heads held high. And so we just continue on, really.
Yeah, well, and like you say, there are a lot of other concerns for both of these sides. Jeonbuk right now are 9 points off of the league lead, which is not a familiar position for them. But this is a tournament they've had success in. Like you say, they do tend to do pretty well against Japanese sides. They will be getting Vissel Kobe in this one, a Vissel Kobe team that put on a very impressive performance to knock out Yokohama. I mean, and as we've also talk about disappointing performances, Yokohama leading the league, a team that is just always expected to do so much in this tournament and just has not yet. But Vissel is a tournament team, and they've continued to play well in a tournament, and that's who Jeonbuk's going to be up against. And so with this one, what changes do you think will be made or need to be made coming into this one? Because again, like we said, Daegu was kind of like a stopgap. Let's just get this done performance. I don't really expect they're going to line up that way in this one. Is that the case?
Well, first there's going to be a few injuries. So there's Kim Min-hwan, he's suffering with a bit of back pain, so he may not play. If he does, it'll probably be replaced by Chae-Chul Sun. No, if he doesn't, he'll be replaced by Chae-Chul Sun. I reckon they'll get him fit in time. Kim Bo-kyung has also got a bit of pain. I think that they may drop him because now they've got Barrow back fit. They can put Barrow out on that left. They've got the likes of Kim Jin-kyu, Paek Sung-ho, Ryu Jae-mun who can fill in central midfield, and they can either opt to keep Han Kyo-won out on the right, or they could bring Song Min-kyu back and put Gustavo up top. So there's also Ibom Su's got a injury with his Achilles tendon. It's nothing serious. Song Bom-kun was dropped for that last game. He was injured in the K-League match against Ulsan, but was fit enough for the 3-1 defeat against Incheon. He wasn't fit enough for the midweek game against Suwon FC. If I'm getting so many fixtures congested into one there.
Yeah,
I may have got that in the right order there. But yeah, he had been struggling with an injury. I don't know whether he was just kept out of this side as a precaution, or whether the manager had dropped him because of his performance against Incheon. But I feel that Song Bom-kun has to be reinstated to the squad for this match, surely.
Sure.
Especially after Ibom Su's mistake for the goal. But yeah, it's going to be reasonably similar. I don't see much change in the defense. Hong Jong-ho isn't available, so it's still going to be Kim Jin-soo on the left, probably as captain, and Park Jin-sop, who I thought did have a good game against Daegu, Yun Young-son, and either Kim Min-hwan or Chae-Chul Sun out on that right, depending on fitness. But yeah, it's going to be quite similar to what we've seen in the league.
Sure. Well, and speaking of the team that'll be out there, we have had a question come in on Facebook from James McKeon saying that if K-League teams don't have home ACL games, they're not going to take it as seriously. They'll take it less seriously. For me, I kind of feel the opposite. I feel like, especially with it being in Japan, I feel like this is a Jeonbuk team that is going to want to. I mean, that K-League versus J.League rivalry, that's a thing.
I actually, in Jeonbuk's case, I agree. I think we've seen other teams go to Japan not always get the results, but Jeonbuk does have a good record against J-League teams. I know people are quick to point out the 2020 mauling by Yokohama F. Marinos, but Jeonbuk, apart from those two losses in 2020, they're unbeaten against J-League opposition since 2015. They've won their last 3 games on Japanese soil. 4 technically if you include Daegu. But yeah,
sure.
And all those away games were always to like win the group or to make a significant step towards progression. So they're used to playing in that J-League atmosphere. They're used to playing with the crowd against them. And I kind of, as we touched on before, I think Jeonbuk are a team that do step up in these occasions. They don't always step up at home. They've been abysmal at home,
as we know from last year.
So it actually might be better that they're away from home for this. Kim Sang-shit's got nothing to lose because I think he's lost the league. I think the league's gone like 9 points. It'd be the ultimate Ulsan to lose the league from this play. To To be honest, I almost want. I mean, obviously, I want to see it as a Jeonbuk fan, but I mean, as a neutral, surely, I'd love to see how far Ulsan could Ulsan, because they've come close this season. They were in double-digit lead and got it down to 5, but got it back to 9 now. Anyway, I digress. That's a different competition that nobody cares about. But ACL, the priority. Yeah, I think Kim Sang, this is his last roll of the dice, because if he somehow pulls a final out, that secures his job for next season, because the final's not till February. They're not going to sack him with the final in February, so that secures his managerial tenureship for the following year. It'd be really unusual for them to then get rid of him. So
I mean, okay, so you've teed me up perfectly here. Let's talk about the match against Vissel Kobe, which again is coming up for me this afternoon. A lovely afternoon kickoff, which is it's delightful. The 2-hour time difference is really working in my favor here, because the matches finish at a human hour for me. But anyway, yeah, again, this was a Vissel team that was very impressive against Yokohama. This is a team that really, and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. The bench is where I think there should be a lot of attention for Vissel Kobe, because they went out and they beat this is a very good Yokohama team. They are leading J.League right now. And they went out there and they won this match with Makino on the bench, not seeing the pitch at all. Iniesta on the bench, not seeing the pitch at all. And some guy, I don't know if our listeners will be familiar, some guy named Stefan Magosa also was on the bench and didn't feature. And I think if they were able to pull off that performance without those guys seeing the pitch, oh, baby.
Yeah.
And Iniesta, I think, honestly, might be a mind game at this point. I don't know if he's going to be fit enough to fully feature in this one. But if you're Jeonbuk and you see him in the game day squad, you have to be prepared for that. So
yeah,
I think that's certainly a threat. But the K-League fan in me loves the idea of Magosa coming on as like a 76th minute sub or something like that and scoring an 88th minute winner against Jeonbuk.
No.
For example.
Nobody would want that. No, I think once he leaves the K-League, he's dead to us all, isn't it? That's the rule. Anyway, no, not Magosa.
Yeah. Stefan who,
exactly. He hasn't actually done that much for... Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been there that long, in all fairness to him.
Right.
But he's only played 4 times in the league, 3 of them off the bench. He has obviously featured in the Champions League. I don't think he'll be featuring against Jeonbuk unless Vissel Kobe are behind.
Start.
He's definitely not starting, I don't think. I mean, what do I know about Vissel Kobe? But yeah, I don't think it'd be very unlikely for him to start. I think Iniesta, I read a piece by Gabe Tan on ESPN this morning. He was saying that it was reported that the manager said that Iniesta couldn't train yesterday, so there's a good chance he will not be playing today, or definitely won't be from the start. He's likely to be on the bench again. So I think that we're back looking at the domestic players, and what Vissel Kobe have is they have a lot of domestic players which have played in Europe. But Jeonbuk also have quite a few Korean players that have played in Europe as well. It's not it's not just an exclusive thing to Vissel here. Jeonbuk have got some very experienced players and can play when they either want to or are allowed to, or in a formation that lets them. But yeah, for Vissel, I think you've got one of the goal scorers, Nanase Ian. If I get the names wrong, I apologize. It's Eno. Anyway, well,
very impressive performance.
But he hasn't done much in the league. He's only got 1 goal in the league, but turned up for that match. Fair play, it was a good goal. Sako's he's doing all right for them in the J League. You've got sorry, I can't read my own notes. Their top scorer is Yoshinori. Yeah, let's try it again, Matthew. Yoshinori Mutu. Premier League fans might remember him from his very brief stint at Newcastle, but he's got a player with European experience again. There's a lot there with Bundesliga experience. So, it's going to be interesting. I think Jeonbuk's defense, it's not as bad as I perhaps predicted. I think I don't want to discredit Yun Yeon Song that much. He's a very good defender, but it's not the preferred defender, is it?
Sure.
So
I mean, you guys still miss Kim Min-jae if we're being honest about it.
well, yeah,
Which team wouldn't? I mean, I think, yeah, heading into this one, I as a quote unquote neutral, I always want the K-League teams to win, even if it's Jeonbuk. So I can't really claim full neutrality in this one, but as a semi-neutral, I do hope to see an early goal in this one, because I personally expect Jeonbuk to set up defensively in this one. And you mentioned that the defense might not be as bad as you've said before, but am I off base on that one? Do you think that they're going to kind of set up for that get to halftime 0-0 approach?
Well, I think whichever team sets up defensively will win because
Spoken like a K-League manager, baby.
No. What I was looking at Vissel Kobe's stats, and the last 4 games they've won across all competitions, they are games where they ceded possession. Vissel Kobe are a team that like to dominate possession and don't do anything with it. They tend to lose a lot of games, yet always have 50 to 60% possession in every match. The games where they've had 30 to 40 are the games that they've won. And similar to Jeonbuk in a way, Jeonbuk have actually done better in the games where they've not had the ball as much. So maybe we're just going to see both teams just sit back in this. But I doubt that would happen. But I think Jeonbuk would be wise not to expose themselves too early. But yeah, I think it's going to be possession-based football from both, and I think it's going to be a long game. Sorry,
Wow.
I'm
Tune in,
I mean,
folks.
there was a tweet. I quite liked it. I saved it. Rish from he's been on the pod. Rish Shamrai. He mentioned after the game about the 2 matches on Thursday, highlighting the different styles between K-League and J.League.
Yes.
Japanese teams wanting to win with style, and Korean teams just wanting to win. He didn't say it as a criticism, just an appreciation of the. He was sitting on the fence there. Just, he knows what you. Yeah, no,
he knows what he was saying.
We know, Rish. But yes, K-League teams do go out to win. I think that they, as I mentioned about Jeonbuk's record against J.League clubs before, it doesn't matter. The form book goes out the window. They fight.
Yeah.
J.League teams have complained that sometimes Jeonbuk fight a little bit too dirty, but they're not afraid to do it. I think Jeonbuk will go where Vissel Kobe are afraid to. I think you've got Kim Jin-soo, that's what the JBH stands for in that hashtag, Jin-soo bodily harm. I think he's going to... Jin-soo, the master of fecal
the
housery.
dark arts.
Yeah, the dark arts, yeah.
I'm glad I talked over that one.
Yeah. He's gonna mess about with them a bit. And I think
yes.
But I think that's it. I think Jeonbuk are gonna go where Vissel Kobe won't dare to tread. Vissel Kobe will try and play football. Jeonbuk will try and play football until they can't, until they might have to step in a bit or step on a bit. But yeah, I think it could get a little bit dirty, but I think both teams are going to probably set out to play possession football because that's what they're both trying to achieve. And yeah, we'll see what happens. It could be a stalemate, or it could get an early goal and all hell will break loose.
We'll see what's going to happen. Put yourself out there. Put your name on the line, Bins. What's going to happen?
Jeonbuk to win 1-0 or 2-1. It's going to be a goal difference. Jeonbuk will win it.
Give me 2-1.
Yeah, go on there, 2-1, just for the fun of it. But don't put any money on it. Obviously, I don't like people doing that. And people will have learned by now not to do that when I say result predictions. But
sure,
yeah, I do see Jeonbuk thriving under the atmosphere. I genuinely think this cauldron that J.League clubs, I'm envious of them. The cauldron that they can generate, it actually plays into Jeonbuk's mindset, and I think it will suit them. And I think they'll get the result here because Vissel Kobe have struggled in the league. Yeah, sure, great result against Yokohama, but they versed them a couple of times a season. They know they're a known opposition. They haven't played Jeonbuk before. They're maybe a bit tired, but still celebrating a little bit. I think Jeonbuk have got the experience there and will do enough. Urawa, if it's Urawa, if it's the Red Diamonds,
Urawa,
that's the one.
Yes.
I think
How's that jet lag treating you, buddy?
I am flagging. I am. I've got a Gatorade here, and if anyone, Gatorade are thinking of sponsoring us,
They're one of the sponsors of K-League.
Well, I mean, would they like us? The podcast as well. But yeah, what was I saying? I think Jeonbuk will be all right.
I don't know. I
think-
appreciate the free
think-
brand endorsement, though. Get
yeah,
in there,
yeah, well,
Gatorade.
they
Come
might
on.
appreciate it. They know. But anyway,
You were talking about if Jeonbuk get through this one, which you said they're going to do. It'll be a
I
one
would
goal.
I would still
win.
like them to verse Urawa.
Mhm.
People might want them to verse. That's why I have to say it more regularly. But I'd hate them to get PG Patham because that was the one I feared. I didn't want PG Patham United out of all three teams. I thought
Really?
Jeonbuk underestimated them last year. It went to extra time. It went on for quite a bit last year. That game with no team either scoring. Jeonbuk always underestimate Southeast Asian opposition. They've never given them the respect that they fully deserve. So playing a J.League side, playing two J.League sides, that's actually probably better. If you want to drag a performance out of this Jeonbuk side, put them in front of a a massive crowd that's berating them, and I think you're more likely to get something from them.
I think they like being villains.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think that's an admirable trait for a team. And yeah, I mean, they certainly will be in this first match. I mean, Vissel won't have the kind of support that Urawa will, but obviously there will be more Vissel fans there than there will be Jeonbuk fans. And it's in Japan. So I think that could play into their favor. I don't have a lot of confidence in Jeonbuk to get this one done. I think Vissel is going to move on. I think we're going to see. I think it's going to be Vissel and Urawa. I mean, I would love to see BG pull off this upset to just fly the flag for Southeast Asian clubs, but Urawa just looked so good in their game, and it wasn't a situation of just like, oh, well, they were more quality than JDT or this or that or the other. The way that they scored their goals, the way that everything was set up, the way they were moving the ball, the off-the-ball movement, the vision, the passing, everything from them was just outstanding. And I can't see BG getting past Urawa in that one. And in this one, I wouldn't be surprised with either team that wins in Vissel Jeonbuk. I don't think... I mean, this seems like a pretty even matchup. I think this is the more interesting matchup in the way that, again, BG, fight, go out there, do it, prove me wrong. It would be amazing. And what a story it would be if BG Pathum United went over to Saitama and beat Urawa in their own backyard. Sign me up, hook it to my veins. Also, that might mean an ACL final in Bangkok instead of Japan or Korea in February. I'd much rather be back here in February. So go get them, BG.
I think,
But in this one, neither team would surprise me, but I feel like, especially for Vissel, they've got a lot to prove in this one. That match against Yokohama, I think it'll really help galvanize the club, obviously. And then if they can see off a big name like Jeonbuk and set up a semifinal in Japan against Urawa, most likely, that could put them in good stead for the rest of the season. Whereas Jeonbuk, do they have as much to fight for?
Yeah, well, manager does. He didn't win this, then it's basically an FA Cup isn't going to save him. He's got to, it's begrudging. He could lose the league as long as Jeonbuk continue to fight admirably. He could lose the league if there's a Champions League final on the cards. But if he goes out and there's been no progress from last year, they went out in the quarterfinals last year. They haven't made it, they went out in the quarterfinals in 2018 and went out in the knockout rounds in 2019. There's been no progress if they go out here. And with them going so far behind Ulsan, it's, empirical evidence that Jeonbuk have gone back a step. So every match in this Champions League now is all or nothing for Kim Sang-sik. It really is. Jeonbuk get knocked out. If they get knocked out in the semi-finals, perhaps there's an argument, but they get knocked out today. I think he won't go straight away, but I think that's it then. I think the writing's on the wall.
Gama's looking for a job. Get him in there. Gama's probably already back here in Thailand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matthew, you've said that they're going to win. They're going to move on. And so hopefully that means later this week we can do this again and we can talk about a semifinal with a K-League team in it. Either way, I'm looking forward to the semifinal, but hopefully we'll have a K-League team in there because we like our K-League teams to be there in the final. Back-to-back finals, 2020, 2021. The mighty Pohang Steelers last year, lest we forget, even though we're trying to forget. So yeah, that's all coming up later this week. And as you've alluded to multiple times, we will be back tomorrow. Paul and I are doing a podcast for the first time in
I can tell you now, a quick preview, watching K2 highlights. I mean, I know that it's no party like a K2 party, but for me with J.League, it's more of a pajama party. It's
going to be great. We're going to talk about the only
form.
league people care about.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. So we'll be back to that tomorrow. And again, today/tonight, what time zone you're in, there are the 2 quarterfinal matches. Vissel Kobe versus Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors is the first one. And then BG Pathum United against Urawa Red Diamonds. 2 matches that should be pretty entertaining. So we'll leave it there for now. And we will be back tomorrow with Paul. And then hopefully we'll be back later this week. But for now, thanks for watching.
전교선 고교